What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and you could see the title. It's time for my Toronto Maple Leafs season preview. Now, tomorrow the Toronto Maple Leafs play their first game of the regular season against the Ottawa Senators at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, and I believe it starts at 7 o'clock, but we all know it's like a 7:30 start all the time. Unless we're on the road and playing the Western Swing, whatever, I'm super excited for this season. And if you're a Leaf fan or a hockey fan in general, I talk about all teams and the Toronto Maple Leafs, of course. Make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. But let's get into this Toronto Maple Leafs season preview. This is going to be a lot of fun. The Leafs have made a ton of moves. There's been a bunch of turnover. There's new faces, and we've sent out and got rid of some guys that have been with this team for a long time. Guys like Nazem Kadri, Jake Gardiner, Ron Hainsey for the couple years he was here, Nikita Zaitsev, Connor Brown. The list goes on and on. There's Igor Ozhiganov. There's Tyler Ennis. There's people all over this roster that are gone. And first of all, I think it's only fair that we also give props to Patrick Marleau. He's not on a roster right now as I'm recording this video, but I want to give props to him, and as well as Jake Gardiner and Nazem Kadri specifically, because they were with this team through a lot of really rough times, and I think that people forget that. When you're on poor teams and you're still a bright spot, that's something that people are so quick to forget when you're not the best talent on the team anymore. For years, Kadri and Gardiner were guys that were the up-and-coming superstars that everybody wanted them to be, and superstars, not like league-wide, but for the team. The Toronto Maple Leafs didn't have a ton of talent, and for years it was being carried by guys like Kessel and Gardiner and Kadri, and Van Riemsdyk for a little bit of time there. But we're starting to see what success looks like, and Kadri and Gardiner are guys that help build this team. And whether you like them or not, they were fantastic players, and it's too bad that we couldn't hold on to one or both of them. But there's been a lot of new faces that have entered this lineup, and we'll definitely be going over them. Of course, the first one would be the big one, Tyson Berry. A big trade with him and Alexander Kerfoot, of course, with the Kadri trade from Colorado. New talent coming to the Leafs. Kerfoot's a guy that you're hoping can put up 40 points this year, and you've got a guy like Tyson Berry who might be able to get to the 70-point mark as a defenseman, because this Leaf team, they know how to score, and he knows how to pass the puck, so it could be a very good fit. Mikheyev, a new guy on this team, he's going to be playing on the third line currently, and we'll get to the lines in a second. Trevor Moore's going to get in a full season. Right now, it looks like Dmytro Timashov has made this Leafs team. That could change any minute, but hopefully he can make an impact on that fourth line. He's been very good for the Toronto Marlies, if you follow the Marlies. I've been to a bunch of games and watched and, kept track of all the numbers and stuff, and Timashov is a guy that I've always respected, and he's really good with the fans as well. Another guy, Cody Ceci, the big Ottawa trade. A lot of people aren't the biggest fans of him. In the preseason, he wasn't great, but he also wasn't bad. If he can just be better than Nikita Zaitsev, it's just like Adam Wilde says, he just needs to be better than Zaitsev. And if he can do that, no problem. He can play where he is now, but when Travis Dermott comes back, I guarantee you there's going to be a switch, and I can't see Cody Ceci being a top-pairing defenseman for his whole time with the Leafs. Of course, we're going to get a full season of Jake Muslin as well, which is really good. He's a guy that can hit. I don't know how much he'll fight, and that's not the big deal here. All we need is him to block some shots, hit some bodies, play sound defensively, put up some points here and there. That's all he's got to do. We're going to see the debut of Rasmus Sandin. A lot of people have been calling him Sandin, but it looks like I've been correct by saying Sandin. I'm a big fan of him, 19 years old, and he's going to be on this Leaf squad. He's proven through, all of the BS that comes with training camp and people moving all over the place, that it doesn't matter what your age is and your size, that if you play well enough, you can make the roster. So I'm very excited for him. So if we're just going to look at the lines, of course, you guys know the forward group has been put all over the place on Twitter, and you guys have been following the practices. But Andreas Johnsson, Austin Matthews, and William Nylander will be that top line, followed by Kasperi Kapanen, John Tavares, and Mitch Marner, followed by Ilya Mikheyev, Alexander Kerfoot, and Trevor Moore, which should be a very speedy, fast line. Dmytro Timashov, Freddie the Goat. Oh, and Jason Spezza, how could I forget, is a new name as well on this team. I keep forgetting Jason Spezza is a Leaf, and that's a good thing, because I think that he's going to be a quiet contributor this year that's going to help this team take another step. So That's the forward group. Morgan Riley and Cody Ceci are on the first pairing, followed by Jake Muslin and Tyson Berry, which is actually the first pairing in my eyes, and then Rasmus Sandin and Martin Marincin as that bottom pairing for now. Of course, Zach Hyman and Travis Dermott will both start the season injured, so that's why they're not in these lineups. In goal, Freddie Anderson and Michael Hutchinson, who's won the backup role for now. I'm not sure with waivers and stuff like that. There's been a bunch of goalies on there, but I think they're going with Hutch for now. So if we're looking at last year's Leafs, of course, third in the Atlantic Division, they had 46 wins, 28 losses, 8 overtime losses for 100 points. 7 points behind the Boston Bruins, who were second place. And of course, that meant that we played the Boston Bruins in round 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals in 2019. And unfortunately, the Leafs took a loss in Game 7. Again, the Bruins have crushed the Leafs multiple times now, and it keeps coming in Game 7. The Leafs collapse. They can't get it done. They had a chance to win the series early. They had 2 chances to win the series, if you're asking me. You could have taken a commanding lead, but Kadri unfortunately got suspended. That sucked. But then they had a chance in Game 6 to send the Bruins packing. They couldn't get it done at home. And in Game 7, the Bruins just do what they do. They're a fantastic hockey club, and they got it done. So this year, the Leafs are going to need a lot of production from their big guns. But I think people seem to forget that, you know, as much as there have been subtractions, people are bringing up, Kadri and Gardner, and, you know, those are big subtractions, and, you know, this is pretty much the Leafs team, except you replace Ceci and Zaitsev with Ceci, and, you know, Hainsey with Marincin, or however you want to look at it. These guys are quicker. These guys are faster, although Gardner and Kadri, definitely Gardner's probably one of the fastest on the blue line if he was still in the team, and Kadri, he brings a two-way element to his game, and he also knows how to hit and will fight if he has to. But this Leafs team has a bunch of young guys that haven't even hit their prime yet. That's an addition in itself. You're looking at Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Mitch Marner, of course, right off the bat. Those guys are still very young. That's an addition in itself. These guys are going to get even better. Matthews is bigger. Nylander put on some weight, and he's been going into the corners in the preseason. You've seen it. Mitch Marner, the contract stuff is behind him. He's deking and dangling like he usually does, and he's getting bigger. A lot of people don't notice it right away, but you can tell in some of his photos that he's put on a little bit of weight, which is really good. These guys are not in their prime yet. Kapanen and Johnsson are taking steps. Of course, John Tavares, how can you forget a guy like that? He's incredible. Morgan Riley taking steps. This whole team is a bunch of young talent that are growing together and getting better. And when you have guys in your top 6, hell, in your top 9 forwards, even your 4 lines, they're all rolling. All these guys can play. And that's something that not a lot of teams in the NHL have, is a ton of depth. A big question going into this season was the blue line. The Toronto Maple Leafs blue line is much better, if you ask me. The reason why I say that, although I love Jake Gardner and wish that he was on this team, the Leafs have a little bit more of depth when it comes to their talent. That bottom pairing for the Leafs has always been a little bit of a problem, but right now, Martin Marincin and Rasmus Sandin look good. Like, they actually looked good. Marincin isn't going to be great, but as long as he can kill some penalties and play decent in that bottom pairing role, he's going to be fine. And Rasmus Sandin, man, I'm telling you, he looks really good. I like him. I really do. I think that he's going to be absolutely fantastic. And the fact that he's on this team and he's made this squad will make everybody notice that these young guys aren't messing around. They're trying to make this squad. When you add a guy like Tyson Berry, you have a full season of Jake Muslin. That is much more talent, much more, grittiness and scoring. Listen, this Leafs team is much better. I don't care what way you look at it. I think this Leafs team, because of the age factor, because of their new, revamped blue line, they're going to be fine. The backup goalie position for now might be a little bit of a concern for some people how you look at it, but if Hutchinson can step in there and get the Leafs what they need, then I think that this team is going to take another step. If you're looking at point production, of course, your leaders on the team last year were guys like Marner, Tavares, Matthews, Riley. There's a good chance that all these guys can become leaders again in points this season. Of course, it's easy to say because they're the top-end talent. But with the fact that William Nylander didn't even play a full season last year, Matthews was hurt. He missed a bunch of games. And now you're adding guys like Barry and Kerfoot and, other depth pieces like McCabe and Moore. And when Hyman comes back, all these guys can put up points. Same thing with Dermott. this Leafs team can really score. And I know people are like, well, you got to play defense. You got to play defense. You need sound defense. I agree with you. But the Leafs are just continually pounding more offense into their lineup, and that's scary. I think that's very scary for a lot of teams to be facing up against this team when realistically their top two lines are both first lines, and you can argue their third line can really play like to the same ability of a lot of teams' second lines. And the depth for the Leafs right now is fantastic. I think that they're going to be great. I can see Marner leading this team in points again, but I can really see Matthews having one of those years. I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility that he scores 50. I think Nylander's going to be back to being a 70-point, well, not back. He hasn't hit that yet. He's been in the 60-point range in his first 2 seasons, which is good, over 60 points. I think he'll have over 70 points this year, which again is added bonus. This guy is going to take another step. And I've just been going on like crazy, but this is my preview. I think the Leafs are going to be second in the Atlantic Division this year. I think that they are going to take the NHL by storm, and a lot of people are going to be shocked of how good they are, and that they're finally going to get out of the first round. But I'm biased. I'm a Leaf fan. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you're not a Leafs fan, give me your prediction. If you are a Leafs fan, let me know what you're excited about down below. I'm feeling a bit better. You guys can probably tell there's still a little bit something wrong with me. I think I got the flu or something, but I'm getting over it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.